Hey guys, it's the FPL Tips channel. Welcome back to another video. This is Game Week 18. We're trying to preview here. We're sort of keeping it in the style of not sitting on the fence. There are a couple of points that are must sort of to tackle. Obviously, the Saka injury kicks in with that. But first, welcome Akhilesh. Welcome back from a quick turnaround Game Week 17. How are you doing?
Busy in terms of planning, in terms of thinking about FPL, in terms of looking at at the fixtures ahead, looking at how to plan towards those fixtures. Saka is injured, and where do we go? So these are the things that are constantly in my mind. I've also made my two transfers. Spoiler alert, and we'll come to that. We'll come to that. We'll come to discussing who are the best replacements and stuff. But at this moment, just excited because it's the Christmas period. Everyone is enjoying, and then the Boxing Day fixtures are just around the corner, and we then have a very quick turnaround again from game week 18 to game week 19, which is the New Year's fixture. So it's just gonna be a lot of football, a lot of FPL, a lot of emotions going around, because there's gonna be a, like, you're just gonna go through it without having the time to react. And yeah, that's the best part of this part of the season, and I'm up for it.
Yeah, it's the fun part of the season. Back to back game weeks, no breaks in between. I think what 6 7 days of football, continuous
Yeah,
football there.
I think there's
Yeah.
one day in the middle, but that's
Yeah,
it.
but completely excited, looking forward to it. We
Yes.
straight get into it. We have like a very big question, which is pretty much major talking point of this video, which is Saka replacements. I'll sort of kick it off by discussing what happened in the game versus Arsenal Crystal Palace, and then you can add on to it as well. So tactically speaking, when Saka went off, Martinelli was switched to right hand side position. Trossard filled in the left wing place, and that's how structurally Arsenal were sort of playing. What specifically stood out to me, Martinelli was holding the width which Saka does. There was overlap, obviously, but it was not that prominent like it was with Saka on the pitch. It was slightly lesser. So you see that is something that I noticed. Jesus was in the box. Havertz was not in the box as much as he would like. We would like to him to be, and same with Odegaard. Odegaard was in and around the box, but not inside the box a lot. So tactically, not major changes, but these are some tweaks that happened after Saka left off.
But yeah, I think that's somewhat it. I like the largely agree with that, and mostly that's what happened. But I'm not sure how much that's gonna continue over here, because Martinelli and Havertz got their goals from very good positions in the box,
Yeah,
and but that's not their positions throughout the match. So, like, more or less, Martinelli was the one who was trying to run, take on the full back, try to put in crosses, try to post problems on the right wing, while Havertz was just in and around the box. He was not really uh, that
the
threatening. I
center
think
striker.
Crystal Palace were good. The scoreline doesn't do justice, because they were pretty good that game. They troubled Arsenal defensively. Raya had to pull off a few good saves. So yeah, overall, I think Arsenal will look to set up in a way that they can continue and not miss Saka so much, because I mean, Saka is definitely their best player, very crucial. When Odegaard missed out for a few weeks, they did see the importance and being missed, and the team sort of had a blip. And they desperately do, like, to continue to be in the title race. They desperately do not need that to happen again, because another important player of theirs, arguably slightly more important than Odegaard, is now out. So it'll be very interesting, and in terms of what Arteta does in the right side, he did say that Martinelli is the obvious choice, but he also name checked Trossard, Havertz, Jesus,
That's
all
just
being able to, and Sterling as well. But Sterling is out for a few weeks.
Sterling is out till
Uh,
mid-Jan.
yeah, so there are like 3 4 names that he mentioned that can play on the right hand side. But I think he'll start it off with Martinelli, especially for the Ipswich game, and
Yeah,
then take it over and see how it goes.
yeah, I wouldn't read much into what Arteta says at all. Just like as an FPL player, I would just purely ignore his bullshit in the press conference. Trust nothing.
Yeah, I
Honestly,
mean, that's fair
absolutely
enough.
nothing. He keeps doing that every week, so I wouldn't really trust it. But let's get into what Arsenal assets that we can look. There's obviously a plethora of options. And it doesn't have to be Saka to someone, but it can be Saka to sort of other options as well. There's sort of a variable option list there. And what I'm looking, or what the perspective here is, that I want someone from Arsenal which plays the next at least three, which is the Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton, because they're closely packed. They're pretty much very, like, in 15 days of time frame. There are 3 game weeks, and I want my player to play minutes there. Let alone the output that will come later, but the minutes should be more secured. So that's sort of the thought process I'm going in with, and that's
Yes.
where we should sort of start discussing this.
Yeah, and with Saka going and Sterling out injured, it comes down to four players mainly playing there. Nwaneri could play, but he didn't trust Nwaneri enough when Odegaard was out, and he's trying to ease him in. So I don't think he's gonna be a big threat in terms of taking the minutes of Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli, and Havertz. These are the four players who will be playing in the front three every now and then. When Havertz, all four of them could play, like we saw against Crystal Palace. Havertz can play the eight, but it could also be that when once Rice came in, they had more control. So some games, maybe not the Ipswich game, but after that, when they're playing Brentford away, Brighton away, these are games where they would like to play both Partey and Rice in the midfield, and then that will push it down to only three. But currently, with the form, and having scored 5 goals in 2 games, I think Gabriel Jesus looks the deal right now, because you are, it's not easy to drop him when he's in such a good form, and scoring goals, and that's what they need from the number 9. Havertz had a barren run of not scoring goals as much as they wanted him. Before that, he was in a great run towards the end of last season, start of the season, but then he's not been clicking as much as they would like him to. And with Jesus coming and scoring a few goals, I think the number 9 spot will be Jesus for a few games. And now, if you look at the turnaround as well, the Ipswich and Brentford game is pretty healthy. In terms of, it's around 5 games, and then from the Brentford to Brighton is just less than 72 hours, which is a very tricky schedule. So I think that's where the rotation is something that's important, because after that they have the Newcastle game in the Carabao Cup uh, coming up, if I'm not wrong. So that's just yeah, I mean, that's another quick turnaround you'd see, and you'll see some rotations over there, but I don't think he can afford to rotate as much as he would have liked to because of the absence of Saka.
Yeah, I'll just sort of increase the dimensionality of the image that we want to present. We're sort of there. Arsenal has Ipswich, good turnaround time. I think they're decent. Then Brentford is far away. They play on a Wednesday. Then Brighton is sort of the early sort of kickoff that day, not early, but on a Saturday, which is the least turnaround time that they have. And then again, Newcastle, which now depends. Arteta has been playing sort of a decent side. Now it's the semi-final. We expect him to put out a good side. So that there could be rotation in that one specific Brighton game, I feel, but the rest should be playing out. Now, how I am looking to replace Saka is to consider people on the list who could get maximum sort of minutes. In my head, I think given the form and given the position, now it seems like Jesus is there up there. Odegaard is first probably. Then there is someone like Martinelli, then Jesus, then Havertz, and then Trossard. That's how I am thinking in terms of minutes purely.
Yeah, and I mean, early on, as soon as the injury came for Saka, I mean, the thought was towards, is the third Arsenal player the right sort of move? Do you want to go somewhere else? Arsenal do have Ipswich at home, which is a plum fixture, but
Yeah,
there are other options as well over there. And also, one of the key issues that was, if Saka was out only for 5-6 weeks, you'll need to find a way to get him back. But now there are rumors that he'll be out until Feb March, which
yeah,
will be a significant period of time. So I think you can afford to get another Arsenal player like Jesus. If you're assuming you've doubled up on the defense, you can get another Arsenal player like Jesus, like Martinelli, like Odegaard, or even a third defender. So that this brought, like, sort of goes away. But also that, yeah, I think Jesus currently looks like an option, but he's a forward option, so it's two moves rather than one move. So it's a sort of a different discussion to have. So direct Saka replacements, it will be either of Odegaard, Martinelli, Trossard, because Havertz is
no,
also a striker. So,
I,
yeah,
honestly,
let's
I'm like, because like no surprises. I'm very much on the pro side of Jesus because he'll be central. He's sort of looking good on form, but I don't really believe it's sort of a two-way move thing because it's too much in the future. Like, I don't think we should be even looking at maybe getting a third Arsenal player or Saka back anytime soon. So the conversation is purely based: who do we want as the third Arsenal player as of now in the team? And
Yep.
most people can afford sort of a
And also,
striker.
do we want a third Arsenal player? That's also the question over there.
Yeah, that's also a question, obviously. But in case if we want, I don't see we have to look at some getting Saka back as of now. We can just skip that part and purely look at who's going to be good for the next 5 6 game weeks and get us more points.
Yeah, I think first let's look at the midfielders because that's one transfer while Jesus is two transfers.
Okay. Yeah.
Some forwards with, I mean, we will come to forward discussion as well, but teams with Isaac Jackson, Joao Pedro, or Isaac Wood, Joao Pedro, Isaac, even Cunha, like there is a case to hold them for this week and not necessarily go to Jesus. So let's look at the midfield bracket first,
Okay. Yeah.
and then come towards addressing the forward bracket. Obviously, Jesus is an option that can be considered, but coming to say Saka replacements as such, I think in Arsenal you only have three midfielders who are currently there, which is Odegaard, Martinelli, Trossard. And where do you think you have your eyes set on, if any of them do they appeal to you, and why do they appeal to you?
Uh, by the looks of it, I think it's more likely to be Martinelli for me over Odegaard and Trossard. I think he's guaranteed starts. He could be one of those guys who's subbed off early because he's generally trending to do that around the 65 70th minute mark. He's pretty much tired and he subs off. And but I still want to go with Martinelli because he has played on the right. It sort of guarantees him more minutes. His natural position is on the left, and now there might be a more sort of license for him to sort of cut inside. Odegaard is present. There's enough overlap by Timber as well. So there could be an opportunity where he's not just holding width like he was on the left flank and cutting inside, getting more shots. So my instinctive sort of substitution is Martinelli, then Odegaard and Trossard third purely because he's not had enough minutes, and I don't trust like sort of see the form in him. Once there is like form kicking in, you can consider because he's also historically very good at like standing in the box, in and around the box. He's good at taking headers as well. But as of now, I think it's Martinelli, Odegaard, and then Trossard for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, but I also like to address a couple of things over here, which is the change of the role of Martinelli and Odegaard will be there. Odegaard now will be on set pieces, will be on penalties, which is going to be
Yeah,
like a huge resource of points for Arsenal, especially set pieces. We did see Gabriel hitting the crossbar. Odegaard took that corner, and also he'll be on penalties. Now there's not going to be any penalty shenanigans between Saka and Odegaard. It's just going to be Odegaard. So that's a good. But the other thing is, I think the left-footed creativity from the right-hand side, and also the left-footed shots from the right-hand side will be Odegaard's. I think the Crystal Palace game was just a game state. I like the games of Brentford and Brighton more for Odegaard than Ipswich, because Ipswich is where he'll be sitting deep and trying to make the play, while the away games he'll be sort of in and around the box trying to take shots. Maybe that's the game where Rice will play as well. And when Rice and Partey play, I think Odegaard is a standout option in Arsenal. Martinelli, I'm not sure because he'll play the 90 minutes, but we did discuss about the hogging the touchline. Uh,
yeah,
so that's what we've seen Saka do before also, and sometimes some games where we've not really had the like really liked his position, but he
yeah,
still is a left-footed player who creates chances from that side, who can also cut inside and shoot. While Martinelli is a right-footed player who's just going to go to the byline and create chances from there, which is sort of much lower expect like XG chances that he'll be creating than maybe say a Saka when he's on the left. So that's sort of the caveat when it comes to Martinelli. That I'm thinking I'm not sure he's going to get that many positions inside the box
yeah.
like he did for his goal against Crystal Palace. So that's why I don't
No,
have
that
the
was a complete one off. That was complete one off. I think people
yes.
should
I
not
don't
take
think
it.
he's gonna find positions like that.
Yeah,
That's why I'm not sure about Martinelli. I think I'm. It's a new role as well. There's a lot of unknown, and that's something that we should sort of learn by looking at Martinelli. And Odegaard is someone I'm sort of little more confident on because of his roots to points, and also he's gonna be the left-footed like shooter from that particular zone that is there.
for
Trossard,
them.
I'll just like to touch upon him. I think I like his role in the team. He's the one who's going to continue to play the same role, and now he's going to get guaranteed like minutes. Like
Minutes.
earlier, he
Yep.
like guaranteed starts, not minutes. As such, he's going to get guaranteed starts more often than not. 4 out of 5 games he'll be starting. So that I think would do confidence for him. Last season he was crucial, scored a few goals for them, and also the involvement of Jesus. You're not sure how central Jesus will be, but now with the goals he's scoring, he might be central. But if Jesus is a player who often sort of moves around the box, and that will
Yeah,
give the space for Trossard to go behind. So I do like Trossard also. I think there is a case for Trossard to being like benefited from this. But coming back, I'd say Odegaard is the best option according to me. And then I'd say and then I say Trossard, then Martinelli, because of the positional places that Trossard will take in the 65 minutes compared to Martinelli in his 90
Martinelli
minutes.
is 90. No, I agree. I agree with your point. My reservations with Martinelli are there. It's the same reservation that Saka is a far, far better player. And you've seen that with low XA and XG also, he's sort of given us points where in the match he would do probably nothing and get two assists and still get a 10-point haul, which I think will be missing from Martinelli, which is sort of the downside or caveat I have and reservation I have with Martinelli. The only reason I didn't put Odegaard over him was that I like players who at least are in the box slightly more than people who are outside the box. I understand the penalty situation, and I'm this could be my bias, but I'm not sure if Jesus takes it or not. I think there are chances where Jesus will take the penalty when there is a situation where he's on probably a brace or something like that. That he's still a good striker. He would demand that spot as well. I don't think it's a
Yeah,
clear cut Odegaard's penalty spot, which is also why which it puts me off Odegaard a bit. But I agree with all of your points for Martinelli and not to be top of Martinelli as well. I get it.
yeah,
If people want slight judgment bias, I think if you want Odegaard's you want to buy Odegaard, I think there is enough reason. Martinelli is a hope, stick in hope. Maybe he'll give you points over the time, which is why I should probably just kick it in. I still feel that, like we did touch upon this, that these players are one transfer away. I still feel that the two transfers for Jesus are probably more worth it because it allows you two sort of position changes. One, you can change around in your midfield for another team as well, and Jesus I think will be more. You look at the match for Crystal Palace, he looked pretty confident. I think it's coming off based off his hat trick in the whole game before that, and then now he's looking more confident. The brace sort of, I think he scored a
yeah.
brace,
And he's
and
also a
he's
very
just
streaky player,
yeah,
which is going to
he's
play in
looking
his.
confident. He was in the right positions. Yes, if you see his heat map, he's pretty much all over the place in the forward line, both right and left flanks. But he's generally tending to do that. Worst case comes if, let's say, there's a drop. Havertz is put into probably number 9. He'll switch to the right wing, and he's very capable of doing that as well. There's more minutes guarantee, I think, as well there. I just like the whole idea of switching up the team more to Jesus, fit in Jesus, and there are alternatives to Saka, which we probably will discuss right now.
Yeah, I think we should just segue into that section.
Yeah,
And
just
now that
before,
we've
yeah.
given our rankings in terms of the midfielders for Arsenal, let's look at who are the other midfielders that are there and where do they rank in comparison. Because
Actually, just before we give our midfielders, like we switch to that, I just would you want to rank Arsenal assets, including Jesus? Because for me, he's top of the list despite the two transfers.
I agree with
This
you. I think he's top of the list as well for me.
Jesus, then
Uh,
sort of Martinelli with the bias and then Odegaard. I'm more or less convinced with your points for Odegaard, so he's probably in second. I wouldn't really stop anyone from doing that. And then Martinelli, but for me, it's top priority Jesus as of now.
yeah, I think Jesus for now, as long as he continues to play in that number 9 role and gets the minutes.
Yeah.
But I think he might miss the odd game when Havertz is playing as the number 9.
I think that's
So
okay, but then
that's
he has enough chances on the right to start on the right wing as well. So
yeah,
I would
he
take
does
my
have
chances.
those.
He started that
Maybe.
last season when Saka was missing out, so that's the
Yeah, the
hope I have.
upside is there clearly with Jesus. I think he's gonna be hogging the XG now. So Jesus will be number 1 for me, and then Odegaard, Martinelli, and
Yeah.
Trossard. Oh, sorry, Odegaard,
Okay.
Trossard, then Martinelli from my list,
Okay. And
because
yeah,
of
just
what I
no love
mentioned.
for Havertz for both of us. He's
No,
expensive.
no,
That's my
he's
primary
pretty
point, and he's
expensive.
paying sort of
He takes the Jackson price bracket, where you can just
yeah.
go to Jackson. Even Solanke, I think, is a better option. So I would not go to Havertz yet.
Okay. Yeah, I agree on
Coming to the alternative midfielders in terms of Saka replacements, if you're not going for any of the Arsenal picks, if you want to go for Jesus, you'll need to sort of downgrade Saka, and these are all the players who are below Saka's price. Obviously, there is Palmer and Salah, and like it goes without saying that if you don't have them, you find priority to get them. But if you have to find a downgrade in your team, these are the list of midfielders that over the last 6 game weeks have been impressive in terms of non-pen XGI is arranged over there. And which players does catch your eye over here, and who do you think should be sort of like where we should start from this conversation? I think it's a pretty important one to have.
I think we should start it from where we were discussing in our members chat. For people who don't know, we have sort of a members chat. It's through our Instagram. So if in case you're interested, you can check that out on the Instagram page. But like something good spotted out in our chat as well. That's Sloboslai. His non-pen XGI is pretty much elevated and sort of high because of that one game that happened against I think Tottenham game. So there's sort of two XGI in that game, and
Two
that's where
XGA
we want to.
itself,
Yeah,
I think, and
yeah.
then high XGI as well. Yeah, he was just it was a like tailor
One
made
of
game
them.
for
Yeah,
Sobozlai, for a player like Sobozlai. So that, and it's completely one of, you're not gonna get anything as open as what Spurs were giving to Liverpool in any of these games. And Sobozlai is also a minutes risk. Like, I mean, if
yeah,
if there is a midfielder that's gonna be rotated over this period of time, it's going to be Soboslai and not McAllister or Gravenberg. And Jones is
yeah,
waiting there to play. Elliott is also there to play. So yeah, I mean, Soboslai is not an option over here, although he's top of the list.
yeah. He's top of the
Okay,
list,
let's
so I
come.
wanted to address it. Start with, and the second one, which is sort of my favorite as of now, is Ismail Assar. And there is enough things pointing towards Ismail Assar, and that's why we should discuss it in depth. A lot of people, there is, and I think Zoff mentioned it on his pod as well. There is enough bias for his cost because now there are enough people emerging around the 5.56 million bracket. People are hesitant to jump on players which are looking in form, looking good. I think Sar is one of those guys who's cheap, who's looking in form. He looks good. He's taking good shots. So I think we should start with there and then sort of digress with our other options.
Yes, I think, yeah, healthy stats. Crystal Palace are on the rise. They are doing well. And Sar is like
I think there was some sort of loss for his video. He will probably be back.
yeah,
Till then,
yeah,
I'll
I think
just take you through. Yeah, yeah. I was just going to take through the stats. Start
yes.
looking good. What I see is that he has accumulated decent about 0.45 average XGI over the last 8 games, which is also healthy and good. I think 8 or 10 games, so he's pretty much averaging a good XGI every game, which translates to a goal or assist every 2 games. At that price point, I'm good, and now the fixtures get better. So I'm happy to sort of get into a team structure where I have enough money to upgrade other places. I have SAR at 5.7. uh, my major reason for Sar as of now, I like him, is one, fixtures. Two, if I like him too much for a long term hold, I can hold him and upgrade the like of a Rogers or an Enzo. I mean, Enzo, we'll talk about Enzo. I have some points to talk about Enzo, but we can upgrade them to maybe a later Sun or a Foden, which allows us that as well. Bruno, maybe after 3 game weeks.
Yeah, and I think SAR in this price bracket where we are talking about, like we were mentioning, he doesn't come. Although his price is similar to the likes of Iwobi, Semenyo, Rogers, Enzo, Ahmad. He is more like comparable towards players like Gordon, Madison, Bruno
Yeah.
Fernandes, Diaz, because of the output, because of how creative, like how involved he is, both assist wise and goal wise. His XA is also not like pretty decent in
Yeah.
1.2. So he has both goal and assist threat. And you don't like XG is something where you need a high XG to get a goal generally. Like that's where you'll be confident. But even like a point 2, 0.15 XA per game is good enough for you to get an assist. So that's just like the way it seems in that sense. So I think he's looking very good. Fixtures are turning, and for the long term as well, we can just go back to the fixture ticker over here. um so Crystal Palace are top of the fixture ticker, and when you sort it from game
Mhm.
18 for the next 6 game weeks, Bournemouth away is probably the hardest over here in terms of an attacking point of view. Then, but they'll still come to play. Bournemouth are an attacking team, so there will be a joy
It's a
for Sarr.
Boxing Day game, honestly. You expect goals on Boxing Day, and that's sort of also a bias I have, that I think on Boxing Day the fixture ticker might just be slightly different than what actual games would look like, and I wouldn't be surprised if there
Totally,
are more goals than
totally.
average.
Yes. And then you have Southampton, Chelsea, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, all good attacking
Yeah.
fixtures.
Been sort
Uh,
of run.
so so it is a very good run. And if you go after that, We can also look over here in Lego Mane's hop on, hop off. He's pretty good throughout. And after the Man United, Everton, Fulham, Aston Villa, Ipswich, Newcastle, most of these fixtures he's playable, and he also has the potential. So I think he's also a long term hold in that particular price bracket where you can sort of have a glue guy as long as he keeps his minutes, as long as he stays fit, like what we used to have with Mbumo for a few weeks now. This
Yeah.
this could be a glue guy in that particular position who's looking really at it for Crystal Palace. So I would definitely recommend him as a transfer this week or even next week as a Saka replacement. But do you have anything against going to a Sar other than the fact that he has Bournemouth away this week?
No, honestly, not. And I like him for there are obviously two caveats. One, don't expect Crystal to be top of their attacking game yet. They're improving. They're in transition, so I don't expect 2+ goals all games. That's going to be a thing, despite what fixtures they're looking at. So in terms of expectations, I would still keep it as a 5.5 million midfielder expectation. So a goal every 2 game is a good sort of output for Sar. That's what I'm looking at. That's the only downside. There has to be some expectation management from him, and that's pretty much good. And I like him. His stats internally within Crystal Palace are good. He's top for shots, he's top for penalty area touches, shots inside the box, and he's doing well on the XG numbers as well. So, plus the form, like the only thing that sort of makes me move to Sar is the finish that he did in the last 2 games. The goals that he scored look like the finishes which are of players in form. So I like him that way.
Yeah, I think you're a very form in form. You give a lot of weightage to form. I think that's sort
Yeah,
of
I mean,
a very
yeah,
important thing to give over here as well.
and it's also important because these game weeks are pretty much close packed. So form would just continue very quick each game in and out, and he's probably
Yep.
nailed down for minutes too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
likely to get
that being
them.
said, I think there is some early substitution coming for him because it's been Mateta or Eze who've been substituted early in the last 3 4 games. I think there will be one for Sar as well, but
One.
that doesn't make me worried too much. I think over the long run, he is a good asset to have in that price bracket, and sort
Yeah,
of significantly better in terms of the others who are there in the same price bracket, and he has a
yeah.
much higher potential.
I agree. I agree totally.
Let's quickly just
So,
touch upon the other assets who we are looking here as Saka replacements. There
okay.
are quite a few assets that appeal over here. Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Diaz, Son, and Madison. I
Sort
think
of the
we
upper
can
bracket. Yeah.
discuss we can discuss that bracket right now in terms of price. Who are just immediate downgrades? We can also probably add Anthony Gordon to it. So who catches your eye over here? Foden just finally scored his first goal of the season. Man City have incredibly good fixtures.
Yeah, they
Bruno
have.
Fernandes coming to him is like a glue guy in terms of 90 minutes long term. So yeah, where do you think your eyes are set if you are
So
going at a much better price bracket?
yeah, I like to address the Tottenham chunk first because there's a lot of options in the Tottenham team. As of now, I think apart from Kulusevski, all of them are minutes risk. So that's sort of the problem with the Tottenham guys, and which is why I'm sort of not looking at Tottenham at all as of now. One, they're obviously sort of inconsistent. That's a bigger problem in general with Tottenham as of now. But the minutes problem with Brennan Johnson, Madison, could be Kulusevski's named, but even Son is playing too wide. All of these small factors are sort of putting me away from Tottenham assets. So that's my opinion as of in time with Tottenham assets.
Yeah, it's a no-go for me as well. Adding to the minutes risk, there's also a goal share in that team. You're not sure that this is the guy who's going to score the most
Yeah,
goals. You wouldn't be surprised if like they're like Bournemouth, but like a more premium, score more goals. But where like you just have anybody and everybody getting into the score sheet.
yeah,
You wouldn't be surprised them winning 3-0 and having Bentancur brace and
like three different
Sarr
players
scoring.
scoring. Yeah,
It's just not there. And then the other thing is fixtures are not too appealing as well from an attacking point of view. That also adds. It's not like they have like green fixtures where
yeah,
you have to sort of need to invest over there like you have for Man City. So yeah, I think we can rule Spurs to
yes.
get all
Yeah, we can
together.
lose the Spurs out. Yeah, I think altogether.
Yeah. I think
Moving on
let's
to
discuss about
yeah,
Liverpool first before going for the other ones
the
because
other options.
again another place where there is a lot of minutes risk, but a very high upside fixture. Like when we go to the Ropti graphic that we showed earlier, Liverpool have 3.65 projected goals for that Boxing Day fixture. Um, and I mean, you expect them to feast because Leicester are looking like ragged right now.
Yeah.
So that will obviously bring you to having a Liverpool midfielder in mind. But the issue is who. I mean, Diaz. I'm not sure he's going to start.
Do you not? That's where most people are looking, and they've good run beyond that as well. West Ham United, Manchester United, Nottingham, Brentford, Ipswich. So it's sort of the longer term game as well. You can go for a Liverpool player, but who is the question? I think for me, Jota is like a one off. You might get lucky with Leicester, maybe either Leicester or West Ham, but then later it's a problem. And Diaz, you just saying that he might not start. Gakpo might start that one, which is the money game fixture.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be surprised anyone starting that game. I think Plus also mentioned this in the FPL Wirepod, uh, where you any of it could be a permutation combination of any of the four attackers over there, other than Salah. It could be Diaz Gakpo, it could be Diaz Jota, it could be Jota Nunez, anybody. So that's just the thing. Your roll of the dice has to be spot on over there, but it's not easy to say that because when you look at the minutes played in the Spurs game, Diaz played 90 minutes, scored a brace. So you can give an argument that he's played 90 minutes, he could be rested. He scored a brace, he can continue. Either
Yeah,
could happen.
there's no sort
Gakpo
of
played
like, yeah.
70 minutes, so he started, but he could be benched here. But he only played 70 minutes, he could continue to start. Jota scored against Fulham. Jota came on against Spurs for a bit. But is he good? Is he fit enough to start? Is he going to risk Jota right now with the crunch fixture period? And Nunez, I think, sort of scored in the Carabao Cup game, and maybe he starts this game. And if he starts, then it's a coin toss between the other three. So yeah, that makes it very difficult. And another point is you need this player for a longer run. You have a double game week coming up. You don't want too many transfers to be spent before that. You don't want your player to get like locked, and you need to transfer that player out. So that, like, it's a very 1 week punt move, which where you have a lot of doubts, and it's not a long term move at all.
Yeah, it's sort of a just if you have like a free transfer left, you just want to, if you like five transfers, you want to waste one, can go for a punt, can sell him off again next week. It's sort of that territory. It's not a long term buy, neither a guaranteed punt as well. So
Yes,
personally,
agreed.
yeah, would skip. Uh, I don't see the upside of going there. It's like a real like arrow in the dark sort of situation. I don't see
Yeah,
any positive. It kind of is, and worst if what if Liverpool don't win by a big margin, then that sort of ruins it more.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
I
think
agree
like
with that.
rotation is imminent. If your player starts Leicester, he's not starting West Ham. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Like they have really less than 72 hours of rest.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think they are a no go as well, like Spurs. Different reasons, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that's
no,
that's
yeah,
just the
I
thing.
agree. And the next up, then with the options we have is okay. So Diaz, Jota, probably not our top options, which leaves us out with Foden, Bruno, and I think
Gordon.
Gordon. Those three. I don't think Bowen and Kudus are options as well. Just not the same West Ham team, I would say.
Again, it's very 1 week punt. They're not a
But
good
yeah,
West Ham team. They have decent numbers, but that's because of the good fixtures they've had over the last few weeks.
just like I
And
think
now
it's
I'm
the
not.
bias. Yeah, number bias is probably because of the fixtures.
Yeah, it's the fixtures, and their fixtures now, if you just check for once, goes down. Um, yeah, West Ham
They
are sort
are
of 17th in the
sort
next
of,
6 game weeks,
yeah,
so a no go definitely. So let's come to discussing about three players: Foden, Bruno Fernandes, and
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah. Sort of the category. What opinions do you have about Foden? I personally don't have like large opinions. I had him this season. Reason for my downfall was looking horrible when he was last time playing for my team. He's looking more selfish, but do you think it is enough to jump onto him, or do you think there's a De
His
Bruyne
numbers
risk?
are
Is a
good.
position
Yeah, I
risk?
mean, his numbers are good. He's looking selfish. He's looking like he wants to take shots. He wants to score. So it might be that the game is a bounce for them. Like the goal against Aston Villa is a bounce for him to get more goals, get more involved. But I don't think his creative threat is so high. Although his XA
Mhm.
is at 1.32, he's not looking like he's trying to create chances for per his counterparts in attack. And other than Haaland, you don't have other goal scorers. Last season you had Alvarez, you have
Yeah,
De Bruyne sometimes, and when De Bruyne, Foden could play wide, there are a lot of like sort of again uncertainties with Foden. So I also am not too like fancied with it. Everton have kept clean sheets against Chelsea and Arsenal over the last two games, and they've looked solid defensively. So like I wouldn't be surprised if Foden doesn't get too much joy against Everton either. So it's not like it's a very high upside fixture. Although the fixture run over the next 4 5 weeks is good, but I don't think he's a definite buy this week. If luxury permitted, I would have waited to watch one more week. But now Saka being needed to be removed, I don't think I'll touch Foden over there. I think it's between the other two, which is Bruno and Gordon. I think we can agree on that.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I have no points for Foden. I have just pure frustration, no points, no reasons to go
Yes,
jump back to him
yes,
again.
yes.
And between
And
the
Bruno
two,
and
next,
Gordon.
yeah, they
Um,
have. I will just, yeah, I will kick it off. They have sort of good fixtures. Eventually, Bruno, the next three are sort of middling, but the long term game till gaming 29 looks good for him. I have personal opinions on Gordon more than Bruno. I have not watched United play enough, so I'm not sure on what positions he's taking, how he's looking. He's got like number wise, he's taking a lot of shots, is what I can see, obviously on the stat pad. But Gordon looks more involved. Gordon and Murphy as well. Murphy is sort of getting neglected again because of his price and his sort of a streaky player. But I think Gordon has just been missing out on hauls. He's been there. He's in around the box. He's taking good number of shots and crucial high, like sort of relatively higher XG shots as well. So I think I like Gordon more personally. I think that if Newcastle continue to dominate other teams like they are currently with Tonali playing more deeper, Bruno is playing sort of more creative. If that continues to happen, Gordon will benefit sooner or later.
yes. Spoiler alert. I'm the transfer I've made is I've brought in Bruno Fernandes, purely because of his like. I mean, uh, over a long term move, I think Bruno Fernandes does look more solid,
Yeah,
and I don't want to touch that position as much. So and also I mean I didn't have enough time to think through it because Isak was rising, so my other move was Isak, so I needed him ASAP. So I had to just go settle with
yeah,
Bruno
yeah,
Fernandes. I do like both of them. I like the look of Gordon because of his he looks very good for Newcastle, and he's not gotten the points that he should have over the last few weeks. He's like 3.02 and non-pen XGI, three returns out of which two are assists in games where Newcastle scored 4-5, fourth and four in two games. Scored three against Liverpool. So it's not like I mean he was not he's not returned as much as we would like him to, which says
yeah.
that he's coming with returns. But next three is sort of dodgy. I think Bruno Fernandes,
I say sort of dodgy is what I think he wanted to complete and say, and I agree with that. The next three sort of fixtures are pretty tough for Bruno. It then gets better for him. If I had to go back to the fixture ticker and look at the long-term United fixtures they have, the next three: Wolves, Newcastle, Liverpool. Liverpool particularly very tough. Wolves, I think, are with the manager bounce. I think they'll be better. Newcastle is mixed. Then they have good run of fixtures. They have Southampton, Brighton, Fulham, and if you look at the long term, Crystal Palace, Everton, Ipswich, Leicester in the same sort of run. I think Bruno on the long term, it will also cover you for the blank 29 game week, which is going to happen, and also for the double 24. So it gives you much more long term sort of perspective and game plan if you're going for Bruno.
yes, I am
Yeah,
back. I'm
I
sorry.
touched upon
Uh,
touched upon like the long term plan for blank game week 29 as well and the fixtures there. Also, like my opinion on Gordon, just want to add one caveat. I feel like there will be one benching given the crunch of time for Newcastle as well. I think there is one benching coming through in the next few games where Barnes starts on Gordon or maybe Joe Linton starts and Gordon on the right. That could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon is sort of benched in one of the game weeks or plays on the other flank. Just like a caveat for buying people who are interested in Gordon, that could possibly happen. That just be aware of that.
yes, yeah, I'd agree with you on that part. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why slightly Bruno edges it over Gordon for me. But if you
Yeah.
want that money, you can also go Gordon. So it's close, but I think Bruno's slightly ahead of Gordon. Then I think Sar sort of comes at the same level. I think Sar probably comes third for me because Bruno and Gordon have that, like, have shown it over a long term that they have the pedigree, while Sar, it could, there is that small feeling that it could backfire, although he's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I think on the long term peripheral, I feel Bruno better. He's more outlet to points because he's on some set pieces, some like obviously on penalties. He's more core to United scoring goals as of now.
Yeah, and
I
he's
think on
also
the
a
long
bonus point magnet.
yeah, and the long term peripheral, I think Bruno is much better. He'll get you more consistent points when you divide them off. Sar could be a good short term punt for like a streaky punt if you want to go there, which is why my rankings would also be like Bruno first, Sar second, and the third would be an Arsenal asset if you want to jump there. Again, Martinelli Odegaard is pretty much debatable, but whichever Arsenal asset you choose would be third.
Bruno, Gordon, Sar for me.
Okay. Okay. Gordon is sort of not there for me. I think I would just place him below an Arsenal asset for me personally because I feel like he will be switched to a right flank or a benching in the fixture crunch. I think Eddie Howe has done that in the past, and I don't want to be experiencing that. That is fine. Plus, I have
Yeah,
enough
fair.
eggs in that basket with Lewis Hall and Isaac.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep. Okay, we'll quickly touch upon the forward category as well. Kuna replacements. Again, Kuna ban is up in the air. No ban for him so far. Wolves look good under the new manager, so that's a bounce. Even though United are expected to score more, I think Wolves will give them a good tough fight if Cunha plays. So what do you think? Hold him,
Yeah,
sell
I
him,
think he's
just
not a
wait.
hard sell this week. He's not a hard sell this week, unless you are in a similar situation like me. I had Jackson, Cunha, and Joao Pedro as my front three, and like, I've had enough. I need Isak in my team, so I had to do Cunha to Isak.
Yeah, he had to do Cunha to Isak, and then I think he's brought in Bruno for Saka. I think those are the two moves. Uh,
Uh,
Again, I think
yeah, I don't know why.
he's
I'm really sorry. My
yeah,
internet
that's
is
okay.
just
I just
uh,
completed your sentence. I know your move, so just took it off there. And I think Cunha this game week, maybe not, but the next few game weeks, the ban is imminent. Now there is one sort of thing that if you hold him for this one, you probably get two more game weeks out of him. I think the next one also will not be a ban. There's very really short turnaround time. I think he might make it till game week 19 as well. But I good turnaround time, good sort of turning point for Jackson into your team, Isaac into your team. Jesus obviously has a great entry point this game week as well. So those three are
it's
top priorities, and then would be Chris Wood if you want to consider. I'm not a fan of Chris Wood. He's obviously consistent. Nottingham are fourth, but I don't think Nottingham are a team which will score 2+ goals generally. So that's my problem with Nottingham as of now. They're scoring good number of goals, but only for specific fixtures, not all fixtures.
Yeah, let's just look at the fixtures also. I think it's a good exit point for Cunha this week because he has Man
Yeah,
United,
I just
Spurs, Nottingham Forest,
just
Newcastle,
got that.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
Arsenal. So that's there. And for Nottingham Forest, so again, middling. I don't think Everton away is a good fixture. Tottenham Hotspur is a good fixture. Wolves are looking pretty defensive as well. So Wolves away might be a hard fixture. Then is Liverpool. So I don't see a obvious Chris Wood move over here. So
Yeah.
it's only Isak right now. If you go to Isak, then it's good. If it's Jackson, also I'd say you can make the move. But anywhere else, I just hold Cunha if you don't have the ban, and then when you have the ban, I'll sort of address it.
No,
And
I
obviously
think
Gabriel Jesus,
yeah,
who we
Cunha
had
to
discussed
Jesus is a
about.
good move because it's the same price bracket. It's just point two. I think Jesus is probably cheaper than Cunha, point two. So I
Yes,
think it's
yes.
those three are probably Isaac, Jackson, and Jesus are probably top three in that particular order for me for transfers, and it's a perfect game week to sort of switch out Cunha if you want to jump on
Yeah,
other bad rankings, especially. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Just like anything in this game week, I think captaincy is pretty much sorted. Just one more
I don't
question.
think it's worth discussing as well.
Yeah,
I don't think it's worth discussing. Like, Salah has to be a captain. Move on.
100%,
Yes.
hands down. And just like one question, do you think there is the combination of downgrading a Saka to a SAR to fund a 4.5 million defender to Trent is worth it or not? Is sort of the question other people had as well. Uh, what do you think? Is Trent sort of, will he be one? Is he bench proof? I don't think he's bench proof in the next couple of games. Two, is it like the upgrade probably is worth it? Most people say it's a good run of fixtures, defensively good. He's getting those assists as well now. But should someone really go for that over a Jesus?
If he was to be benched, I think it's this game that where he should be benched. but the turnaround is decent. And
Yeah,
then the Connor Bradley is not there. If Connor Bradley was there, I think he's like lesser bench proof. But the combination of Kwanzaa and Gomez on the right hand side was a problem for Liverpool against Newcastle. So I don't think Slot will take that risk again because two points were dropped in that game. So for that reason, I think Trent will keep playing. Maybe there are games where he'll come out and he's looking better in terms of his fitness. So if you have Isak, then I would do that move. If it's not, if you don't have Isak, then I wouldn't do that move. But I
right.
think Trent is viable over the next few weeks. He looks good. He looks more creative, than he did somewhere in the middle at the start of the season. So I do like Trent. He is a little expensive, but I think he's a good long term hold. He's a good option for the double game week as well. And I have a Trent bias as an FPL
Yeah,
player, so
100%.
that's all obviously there. But yeah, I think I do it if you don't have Isak. If you have Isak,
No, my other question is, would you do it over Jesus? I think that's
yes, I
sort
would.
of the caveat people are. You would?
I would. Yes.
I actually, this for the rarest of times, I would as well. I think Trent, if he plays those games, there is genuine clean sheet there, and he's been looking good for the assists, and he always cracks up bonus as well. I think it's a good time to sort of jump onto Trent. I want to do that, and I have Cunha, so that's my problem. The problem is that I have to remove Cunha. The other third striker is that I have that is not Jackson. It's Evanilson. Again, sort of middling striker. I have to remove him. I can't jump onto Trent without a -4 is the problem I'm facing. But if I had the bandwidth over Jesus, I would do it.
Yeah, I think it's very team dependent. As I did mention
Yeah.
earlier, Isak is probably just the main factor, but also there are like transfers and other things that you could put off where Trent might not be the obvious move. But if you have your team looks good, you have other strikers in place, then I would do that over a Cunha to a
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, we'll jump on to our final. I don't think more team discussion, like just a couple of anything discussed game by game. Chelsea versus Fulham. One thing for Enzo owners, I think he'll be more attacking this game week when Cucurella is back. There'll be someone who can tuck inside in the midfield and allow Enzo to jump ahead. So just wanted
And
to
what
add
about
that.
the rotations? Because it's a game where it's a midweek game. You've
Yeah,
seen him
I mean
rotate.
that
But
that
at
can
the
happen. I think
no,
that
but
is
at
more
the back
likely.
of a draw against Everton, this is a must-win game. So
Yeah,
I think
it's more
it's
likely to happen in the
yeah,
game against Ipswich, which is next up, and not Fulham.
yeah. Fulham are a good team, so I do
Yeah,
expect Jackson to play,
yeah, we probably will
especially,
respect them more.
and Palmer obviously will play every game in the Premier League. There's no like question in that.
There's no doubt. There's no question.
Colwell and Cucurella.
I think
Cucurella is now just
I wouldn't be
so
honestly surprised if there is a given if Maresca had to ever bench Palmer, it could just be the Ipswich game. There is no other reason. But given how Ipswich play, they're sort of deep. They want a creator. I think that's the only reason I say Palmer starting. If for purely rotation, I think Ipswich seems perfect.
no, but if you're looking at like for some certain players, it's not easy to justify benches against them, especially against the like easier sides and like these like Palmer, Salah, Haaland. These are players who will get goals and assists like
Yeah,
properly
and the
against big
turnaround time is
teams.
decent.
So
Yeah,
they will be
it's not.
unhappy if yeah, the turnaround time is also good. They'll be unhappy if they're not played in such
Yeah,
games. So I don't have a Palmer worry in terms
I
of
don't think.
his
Yeah, I don't have a doubt. But if there was ever a chance, it was only that game.
yes, yeah.
Okay, but the rest, I think it's fine. We can move on to our teams quickly. I think we have
Yeah, I
your team.
just
Oh no, my team. What happened?
I,
Yeah, go ahead.
I know. I'll just like to go through it for a second if there's anything to address. There's
No.
benching questions over there that came up. If
Yeah,
you have Semenyo, Enzo, Rogers, Ahmad, like who would you like in order of who would you play ahead of the other? Sar is number one, but if you have Semenyo, Enzo, Rogers, Iwobi, Ahmad,
I would play first Semeyo. Second would go to Ahmad. Third Enzo. Fourth Rogers.
okay. So this
That
is
could.
not a week for
I think
Rogers.
fourth Enzo. Third Rogers.
Okay, okay. I mean, I would play Enzo first. I think it's a good fixture for Chelsea.
No, I
Um,
really don't expect a high scoring game.
and Semenyo second, Rogers third, Ahmad fourth for this particular game.
Yeah, I would. Mine's a bit different. I think I'll go Semenyo first, Ahmad second, Rogers third, and then Enzo fourth.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let's just
And yeah,
quickly
that's pretty
go
much
over
the
our
benching
teams.
as well. Yep. This
This is
is
yours.
my team. I'm planning three moves as of now. The -4 is in consideration. I'm planning to do Saka to Sar, Cunha to Jesus, and Timber to a Trent, or maybe Hall to a Trent. I'm not sure. The only reason I want to do Timber to Trent because I feel like Arsenal are sort of there defensively, but I want Trent as a defender. I don't want to upgrade completely out of Hall because I need to have some money for upgrades elsewhere as well. So if I don't find a midfielder in my plan, which is either Rogers or Enzo out to a midfielder in the next 2 game weeks, then I'll go ahead with the Trent move. This one, take the -4, be okay with it.
The only issue is, I mean, how much of your you'll still have significant funds in your bank, right?
Yeah, I'll still have money back in the bank. Yeah.
So like to maybe do Evanilson to Jackson, or one of Enzo Rogers to
Yeah.
maybe a Gordon
My
if needed, or Fernandez.
my focus is more in the midfield. Sort of get the midfield more. I don't want 3-5 million midfielders. I know Rogers and Enzo are rotating well. I've been lucky with the halls as well, but I think like someone in the slightly higher bracket. Maybe if Martinelli looks good, that allows me to have two Arsenal attackers instead of defenders. So I can switch
Yeah,
that
then
up as
that
well.
timber move could help you as well. Yes,
Yeah,
fair enough. Um, yeah, are you playing Fabianski or Flecken? I just wanted to finish with that.
Fabianski. I've given up on Flecken. Never playing him again. Fabianski good on
Okay,
save points. There is hope. I've played Flecken for
okay.
like 13, 14, and I'm generally a player who plays their keeper through and throughout. I don't like to change it up at all. Very rarely I change it up. Like I trust my 4.5 guy to get me clean sheets, or like in tougher games, some odd clean sheet save points and etc. Combination wise, it eventually evens out that much. But this year they've just been horrible, and I don't trust Brentford to sort of improve immediately, especially with the injuries. I think Pinnock also got injured, so
Yeah.
Fabianski,
Okay. Moving
your
on to
team.
my team. Raya and goal, Fabianski, Gabriel, Trent, Hall, Mikolenko, Greaves, Sala, Palmer, Bruno Fernandez, Semenyo, Rogers, Isak, Jackson, Joao Pedro. So I've done two moves this week: Saka to Bruno Fernandez and Cunha to Isak. So that's my transfers done for this week, and I have say zero point 0.5 million in the bank to maybe do Semenyo to Sar next week. So those are my plans for these 2 weeks. But I will be benching Rogers, and I'll be playing Semenyo in
Yeah,
my team.
I think that's
And
all.
yeah, I think fair enough. I don't expect a clean sheet for Hall, but I'll just play him this week and just move on. I don't think have I have a big problem with the defense over here. He's
Yeah.
pretty attacking. So I don't have too many decisions to make over here. If you have any sort of pointers,
No, I think it's good. I just wanted to ask you one question. What's your team value?
I have not checked it in a while, but I think
This
it's
seems like
around.
an unreasonable team value. I think it's upward 102 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's not very good, but it's on the above average to good team value. So I
Because
think
mine
I
is just
maintain that.
barely 100. And this season, that has really hampered me that I've not jumped on bandwagons early, made moves late. So I've lost a lot of team value, which is now hampering me to get like all these extra Bruno instead of like a 5 million guy. And that's the sort of difference we have in our teams. If Trent, I
Yes,
can't afford him. Yeah.
yes. I just quickly. Yeah, it's around
Yep.
103.9. So that's good. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm
that's good.
able to afford this currently. So, but yeah, I think it's a good time to finish. Any last words?
No, I would just like to wish all of our viewers Merry Christmas for people watching around the world. And as usual, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Do share your team in the comment section below. Let us know what moves are you planning. Again, it's been good benching sort of season for us. We've benched the correct players in the last 2-3 game weeks. So hopefully we continue that run this game week as well.
Yes, I think last game week was sort of a nightmare for some people who had Rogers,
Yeah.
um, Aina,
For us.
Semenyo. Yeah, so that's just a thing. But yeah, I think that happens. That's part and parcel of
Yeah,
FPL.
that's part of it.
So yeah, just back your instincts, go with the player, and like don't feel too bad if you have benched someone who has points.
And
You'll
especially
get more
this game week, because
points.
you will get the next game week in like 24 hours. So that's perfect.
Yes, yes.
On that
Yeah.
note, we'll sort
Okay.
of wrap it up. Yeah. See you guys in the next game week. Till then, this is the FPL Tips team signing off. Cheers.